Hello, welcome to Leaving the Pit. My name is Art Adams. I'm one of the co-founders of Leaving the Pit, and we're in our 8th or 9th month of this organization existing. I wanted to spend a moment with you on this particular video talking about how we arrive at various costs. Sometimes people get concerned because they aren't able to afford the services that we offer. Leaving the Pit is a professional service. We are owned and operated by Leaving the Pit. We have one branch of Leaving the Pit that is for-profit and another that is not-for-profit. The not-for-profit primarily is many of the activities on the clinical side. Let me explain to you or talk with you a little bit about the things that go into setting up an organization. We have such things as we have to pay people behind the scenes, like a certified public accountant. We pay people for development kinds of activities such as certifications, legal fees in terms of setting up an LLC and various other legal activities, that papers that need to be drawn up and signed that comply with the law as the book of Romans teaches us. We also have graphic artists, we have marketers who design many of the things that go out in brochures. With that, as we said before, we have the development piece. Right now we're under development with forums, with setting up our retreats and with a residential center. Brochures are very costly, and when we mail these out, that there's a cost not only to the publication of the brochure, but also to the actual postage that goes into the hard mailings on these. And then what we have found out is that there is not a central mailing list for the Churches of Christ or contact with the members. And so we're having to develop all that way behind the scenes. That costs money, and we have to pay all those activities. Room and the room for activity, fees that have to do with maybe reserving or using particular equipment, food for the events. All those things have to be figured into how we run the business. So the events, while one may look at the event and say, well, that's kind of pricey, remember there are many things behind the scenes that have to be paid for by whatever profits are made with our various events. When we compare in this field, when we look at what people are actually getting for the dollars, and we compare, so for instance, if we were to look at a retreat is going to have at least 25 clinical hours per provider at those retreats. If you were to go out and buy that 25 hours of clinical retreat, the average is going to run around $95 an hour. That's going to be about $2,375 for that. But that would be low average. High average would be anywhere from $125 to $150 times 25, and that's going to get you at around $7,000 of services. So when a person comes to a retreat, to a clinical retreat, they actually are getting an equivalent of about $24,000 to $7,000 worth of treatment at those clinical activities. We obviously have overhead paying our clinicians and overhead getting places reserved, paying for those places way ahead of time, and so forth. So there are many costs that go into this, many that I haven't even talked about. We have to figure all that in as we run a business. Things that are in development are costing money, costing revenue, but there is no revenue coming in for those at that point. So that cost has to be picked up somewhere. If we were to look at some of the worst scenarios. For instance, if a person is considering a marriage retreat, we look at what the cost of that would be compared to a divorce. Divorces are very costly. They run $10,000 or more dollars for the average divorce, and the effects, financial effects of that divorce keep accruing many years to come. The average funeral, if a situation is serious enough to where something can be life-threatening and we can intervene in that with our services, the average funeral is $8,300. As we said, counseling fees go anywhere from $95 to $125 an hour on average. And then if a person needed surgery, what we would do is we would figure out a way to pay for that if we needed some kind of surgery. The average surgery runs around $15,000. Cars, people buy for anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. And so we're talking about lots of money in those cases. But we don't balk as much when those situations come up. And so I just ask to consider that Leaving the Pit has tried to arrange prices that what we are charging is below market value for any who have similar circumstances. Leaving the Pit offers ways to pay for this. For instance, when a person registers, you can go into PayPal, and PayPal will allow you to spread your payments out over 6 months at zero interest for the first 6 months. That way, costs can be spread. Other ways to assist in paying for this are through sponsorships. There are times that brethren are willing to provide some match dollars, saying, we think you need to go to this, and we think it enough where we're willing to help pay for part of it. But we need you to let folks know that you're in need of that kind of assistance. With our recent 501c3, we are trying to build a pool of funds that we can use as scholarships to assist people. That's not fully developed yet. But there are various ways that people can pay for these things. Again, Leaving the Pit, we're not trying to get rich on this. We really want to help people, but neither do we want to go in the hole on this with what we're trying to accomplish. So we just ask you to consider that as you look at the price. We're trying to be fair with everyone and to make it possible for people to be here and to be a part of the different activities. I thank you for listening to this, and in other agencies this would be called financial counseling. There's much more that we could say in this particular segment. But contact us and we will work with you every way possible for us to make it possible for you to receive the services that you've identified you need. Again, thank you for listening to this segment, and check us out on leavingthepit.com.